So long as like Alchemy.
Here we go. Here we go. Let's get it. I'm pumped up. I just got my breakdown done of my first big game tier Houston, Utah Jazz last night. Did y'all see that? Did y'all see that? I didn't even plan to open. Don't worry, Warrior fans. I'm going to get to the Warrior shits. But you know what? You know what it reminded me of? Again, I have a 15-minute, I don't know if it's quite 15. I think it's like 12 or 13-minute breakdown of that game in Houston and what happened, right? But you know what it really reminded me of was, you know, when I know not all of you obviously have kids, but you have a sibling or nieces or nephews, and some of you have kids. But when you're dealing with a kid and they take something too literal, you know what I'm saying? That's what happened last night in Houston. When you're like, hey, slow down, right? And then the kid's like, okay. And you're like, come on. No. I don't mean like freeze. I don't mean just completely slow down, right? I mean, just slow down a little bit. And sometimes you see kids, a lot of the times, like coaching youth sports, where they take everything too literally, right? And that's what I think Utah did with that game plan last night. Like, hey, let's guide him to the right, you know, and let's hang on his left side and contest. No. They were all the way on the left. Sometimes they were behind Harden, right? And it's just crazy strategy, really, because I know Milwaukee employed it somewhat successfully. Well, they have completely different personnel when it comes to their wings and guards and athleticism. But anyway, enough about that. I don't think clearly, Quint, they're going to change strategies. That series it's not going to be a cakewalk like that first game was. I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen a guy head right down the middle of the paint that easily. Harden didn't even sweat last night, did he? He didn't even have to shampoo the beard after that shit, right? He didn't even sweat. Let me get into this Warrior stuff. I got notes here because there was a lot of games. What did we learn in these game ones? There was some upsets and there were some things that were just, you know, as expected. Detroit, Milwaukee, right? So the first thing I want to address about this Warriors thing was DeMarcus Cousins. And Doc first off, Mark Jackson and Van Gundy, y'all know I go off on these dudes, but really, were they really trying to give Doc Rivers like a ton of credit for his game plan? They were like, I really like Doc's game plan. Look, they're doubling Durant. They're leaving Draymond and Boogie. I really like Doc. Oh, that's fucking innovative. That's innovative. But anyway, you saw the strategy. And what I want to bring up is DeMarcus Cousins, obviously that was his first ever playoff game, right? And so I think there was nerves, obviously, and anxiety in performing well. And you saw him force up a couple shots early on. But I also think there's something to be said about him being iced out at the top of the three-point line. And you saw it got in his head a little bit. And you think about like Draymond is kind of accustomed to that. He's never been a offensive weapon at any level in his basketball playing career. Well, DeMarcus has never been really treated like that. And so psychologically, it may mess with him a little more than it would, say, someone like a Draymond Green or a Rajon Rondo, who they've experienced it plenty at all levels, right? And so I think that was a little bit of that. But I also think moving forward, Kerr and DeMarcus are going to make adjustments. Let's have him operate deep in the paint. If he's not comfortable shooting three out there spacing, let's put four shooters around him. And Montrez, he's a monster, man. He's a monster, right? He probably has the highest motor in the game, at least for a forward, right? But I don't care how much of a motor he has. He's not going to be able to contain Boogie with four shooters on the perimeter. Where's the help going to come from? And so I'd like to see him get going maybe early, or specifically when he's in that second unit, right? Because Trez is in the second unit for them as well. Put four shooters out there and let him catch it deep and let him get comfortable out there, because they're not going to be able to leave him one-on-one in the post, right? What else did we see in that? I thought for the Clippers, I think here's the real predicament for them is, so Lou and Montrez are clearly like their go-to duo. That slipping kind of sub-transition pick and roll game that they have is very effective. And Montrez, in a lot of ways, is a small ball killer, right? He's a small ball center, because when the teams go small, he can pretty much bully all these wing perimeter guys that teams like to play. The problem with that is when you move Montrez to the 5, you are saying, all right, Steve Kerr, roll the death lineup out there. right? Roll the death lineup out there because the game was competitive for a while. And you saw as soon as they went small and Kerr, I think it was around the 6-minute mark in the second quarter, went to the death lineup. And shout out Iguodala, man. Ig looks like it's 2015, right? We're getting 2015 Andre right now. But, so ultimately, the Clippers want to play small, and it plays right back into the Warriors' hands, and that's a real predicament. I got to mention the chef. I know the Steph Curry fans are like, you ain't going to mention, what did he have, 37 and 15? And you saw him kind of big boying Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Ooh, I nailed that name. I nailed that name.
Go get the strap.
That don't even fit, Alchemy. What the hell? Get your soundboard shit together. But point is, he's long. Everybody likes to talk about the kid's length from Kentucky, right? But I think there was a real game plan where you saw Steph when he's running those baseline curls, right? In some of that action, he was just stopping short and getting inside position on the rookie who you think about his high center of gravity. He's probably a $185 soaking wet, right? At 6'6". And so you saw Steph kind of muscling him up and getting those boards, and then he was just automatic pulling up from everywhere. And the attention was on Durant, right? The attention was on Durant, sending pretty much a hard double at Durant for the whole first half. And so you have to imagine Doc's going to change that up. I still circle Klay Thompson as the Warrior that's probably going to have some big games in this series because, let's be honest, he is the third priority to the defense. And, he had a quiet night, 12 points, so it was like 4-14, right? But ultimately, when this series plays out, I think it's going to be Klay that's going to be left with a lot of open looks. In part, reason why he didn't score much was because they were disrespecting Boogie. And I've seen enough of DeMarcus. I've learned enough about him that he's got a real confidence in himself. So he's not going to let this affect him throughout the series. It shocked him and he struggled, right? But I expect him to rebound. And it's going to be tough for the Clippers, man. Gallinari is moving around like he's got a loaf in his drawers, right? He ain't moving around right. And I guess that's what the Clippers will have to hang their hat on is like, all right, Gallo's going to give us more than that, right? He didn't give us anything. But you get the performance from Lou, from Trez. I guess the one thing I would point to is if I was Doc, I would play more Zubac. Right? He only played like 10 minutes. He started. But I think it's fool's gold to go small against this team and maybe try to run some of their offense through Zubac. I know he's young and inexperienced, and defensively he has some brain farts. But let's be honest, they're not going to stop him anyway. The only hope is to outscore him, and Zubac is very skilled offensively. What else did we have here? What else happened over this game one weekend?
Y'all want to see a dead body?
Kyle Lowry. Come on, man. Look, I'm not going to overreact. I'll just say this. Nick Nurse, I really like Nick Nurse. I've done my homework on him, and he's a coach's coach, man. He's really paid his dues to get where he's at. He's seen a lot, and not maybe at the NBA level, but he's a very experienced coach. And I know he knows, or I know that his worry is he doesn't want to lose, quote unquote, lose Kyle Lowry for this whole playoffs. Because let's be honest, the Raptors have championship aspirations. It's not about just doing well. They need to get out of the East to retain Kawhi. So you don't want to risk losing Kawhi by pulling him from the starting lineup. Risk Kyle Lowry. But I don't know if he's that type of guy. But point is, you got to sit Lowry's fat ass. You got to sit his ass. You got to sit him. Toronto fans, am I wrong? You got to sit him. You got to sit him. Van Vliet is the superior player at this point, and he matches up much better with DJ Bust Yo Ass Augustine. And DJ has quietly had a monster year. If you pay attention, he's really kind of like played with the chip on his shoulder. And I guess the one thing that I didn't really account for in this matchup was Aaron Gordon and Jonathan Isaac, while offensively they're not polished, they can defend. They've got quite a few long athletes that can defend. And look, Kawhi did his thing, but it's not like he went off. It wasn't like they can kind of play Kawhi one-on-one, right? Siakam did his thing, but that was, you talk about, it's like a traumatizing experience if you're the Raptors and Raptors fans. Like, are you serious right now? So I'm not going to front, it was fun to watch. It was a fun game to watch, right? It's one of those things where you're like, again, again. Now, Philadelphia, Brett Brown. Okay, first off, who is letting Joel Embiid play? Who is letting Embiid play? That's my question to everybody. Is it Elton Brand? Is it Brett Brown? Part of it's got to be Embiid, right? But who is going to be the adult in the organization, the adult in the room, and say, hey, maybe we shouldn't risk our franchise player's career by rolling him out on a bum leg, 7'2", 200. He's probably 300 pounds right now. Like, it just seems like a terrible decision. Brett Brown, fire him now. Fire him now. He needs to go be making cheesesteaks somewhere. Brett Brown's not a head coach. He can go be a coach in a mid-major somewhere and really motivate guys. All right, my Philadelphia rant is over. Ben Simmons. I'll throw this crazy question out here. This crossed my mind. Draymond Green for Ben Simmons. Who says no? Draymond Green for Ben Simmons. Who says no? They both sign extensions. Don't hit me with the cat bullshit. I'll let y'all answer that in the comments. What else? What else happened? I'm not going to front. I didn't watch much of Boston, Indiana. And I did not watch Detroit, Milwaukee. Again, the breakdown, my patrons, I have other games other than Warrior games on my Patreon now. So I broke down that Houston, Utah game. I touched a little bit on that. I feel like I'm forgetting another game. Am I? Oh, Dame time. Portland. Now, those of you that caught my quick picks, I think I took OKC in. See, now I don't even remember. I think I said 7 games. I did. I said 7 games. Here's what I did not account for. I honestly didn't know if CJ McCollum would be right. And that was huge to me. And CJ was getting buckets if you didn't see the game. CJ, I mean, he didn't have like a huge game, but you can tell he's healthy. He's back to that irky-jerky mid-range pull-up game. And then Enes Kanter, man, it's easy to root for that dude. It's easy to root for Enes Kanter, right? He's one of those people, you know, like kind of like Will Smith, where I don't know him. You don't know him, right, personally, but you can kind of tell that they're cool, right? You're like, yeah, if I met them, that dude would be cool, right? And Enes Kanter seems like that type of dude, and I'm happy to see him have success. And I think there's an aspect of him being boys with Adams, and the familiarity makes him even more comfortable and more confident in the matchup. Paul George is hurting, man. It doesn't look good for OKC. They're going to put up a fight because that's what they do, but they're going to need like an anonymous shooter to get hot. They're going to need like Grant to hit 4 threes in a game or something. They're going to need something crazy to happen, because if CJ is going to be right and they found a little juice here with Kanter. And I guess the last thing before I wrap this up, we ain't too long here. We're under the 15-minute marks. Denver, San Antonio, told you so, right? And I'm not even telling you. Most people saw this coming, right? And let me clarify something. My guy, someone hit a comment. I read all the comments, and I love them. I love the shit talking. I love the back and forth. That's what this is about, right? But someone was like, that's laughable. Jokic, a tier 2 star, he triple-doubled in an L at home in game 1. Let's be real here. In today's NBA, the numbers are inflated. We're playing in the juiced ball era of basketball. So miss me with the triple-double numbers. The dude is not dominant. Now, prove me wrong. Step up, get aggressive, come out and snatch game 2, right? But ultimately, Denver doesn't have an alpha. Jamal Murray, could he be that guy? It just, and let me clarify. So when I say that Jokic is not a tier 1 star, let me be clear. There are only like 5 or 6 tier 1 stars. It's not really an insult. I'm not saying he's not an all-star. I'm just saying you cannot put him in the same breath as James Harden, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, right? You can't, LeBron James when healthy. You can't put him in that tier. No, sorry. And I don't think I'm wrong for saying that. So we got a lot of interesting stuff here. Philadelphia, do or die tonight. Ben Simmons, where you at, boy? Where you at? I'll be back to break down what I see in these game 2s tomorrow, Wednesday. I don't know. Y'all let me know. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.